Hi everyone, this is Bipin Kumar, founder of RPM Tutorials. Welcome to my channel. Today I am going to talk about anomalous behavior of water. This is a topic which confuses many of the students. So let us try to solve that mystery today. Okay. Let's look at the volume versus temperature graph of water. The important magic point on temperature scale is 4 degrees Celsius. Let's first look at the behavior of water after 4 degrees Celsius. So you are increasing the temperature of water and how the volume is changing. As you notice that if you increase the temperature of water beyond 4 degrees Celsius, the volume of that given mass of water is increasing. Now this is normal behavior. You heat up anything, its volume expands. If you reduce the volume, it contracts. So after 4 degrees Celsius, you heat up and the volume is extending. You are reducing the temperature and then volume is reducing. That is, contraction is happening. But what happens when the temperature is less than 4 degrees Celsius? You are reducing the temperature and the volume is increasing. This is just reverse behavior, what we expect normally, right? Likewise, if you increase the temperature from say 0 degree to 1 degree to 2 degree, you see that the volume is decreasing. Contraction is happening. You are increasing temperature and the contraction is happening. So this is abnormal behavior, anomalous behavior. Now let's try interpreting that in terms of density. Now we all know that the density of a given mass of any substance is rho is equal to mass per unit volume. So density and volume have inverse relationship. If volume increases, density will decrease. If volume decreases, density will increase. Now let's look at this magic point of 4 degrees Celsius. So after 4 degrees Celsius, if temperature of water is increased, then we see that the volume of the water is increasing. Because volume of water is increasing, so the density is supposed to decrease. That is exactly what is happening. The density is decreasing when we increase the temperature of water beyond 4 degrees Celsius. And if we reduce the temperature lower than 4 degrees Celsius, then we see that the volume starts expanding and therefore density will decrease. Okay. So in this part again, in the density term also, this is abnormal behavior or anomalous behavior. If normal behavior is that you heat up a substance, temperature is increasing, even in the case of water also, the expansion is happening. You reduce the temperature and then contraction is happening. That happens after 4 degrees Celsius. Anomalous behavior from 4 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius, you reduce the temperature, expansion is happening. You increase the temperature, contraction happening, right? So this is anomalous behavior. It is something like this. I got a bonus in my company. And then I start crying, why did I get the bonus? That is my abnormal behavior. Similarly, if a child is in a class and is a naughty child and has created some problem, so teacher gives the punishment. And the child starts laughing. Thank you, teacher, you have given him punishment. So that is abnormal behavior. So water is behaving abnormally in this range of 4 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now let us analyze this behavior and the effect of it in terms of Hope's experiment. The scientist, Mr. Hope, had conducted an experiment. What it is, this is a cylindrical column in which the water is filled up. And water is filled up at 10 degrees Celsius. Pre-cooled water, 10 degrees Celsius. And then around that cylindrical container, he put another cylindrical container where I put the freezing mixture of ice and salt. So because it is freezing mixture, it is around 0 degrees Celsius, right? So what is normal thinking? That if the pre-cooled water is 10 degrees Celsius, then in this area, the water temperature will start going down because this is 0 degrees Celsius, so the water temperature here will reduce naturally. So water temperature starts reducing from 10 degrees Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius. Now compare that with this zone, 10 degrees Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius. This is a normal situation of the water. So it's a normal behavior. Because temperature is decreasing, so volume reduction will happen, contraction will happen. Because contraction happens, so density will increase because you are decreasing the temperature from 10 degree to 4 degree. So density is increasing. So it means the water particles here become more dense. Any denser object will sink. So the water particles from this area start sinking, and the lesser dense water will start coming up. So there will be a water cycle until all the temperature of all these molecules reaches to 4 degrees Celsius. What happens when the temperature goes down further from 4 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius? Because this part is 0 degrees Celsius. So this part of the water will also try reaching to 0 degrees Celsius. So this 4 degree to 0 degrees Celsius, this is again abnormal behavior. Okay. What happens? If the temperature is now decreasing 4 degree to 0 degrees Celsius, the water molecule here that water content starts expanding. Look at this. You are reducing from 4 degrees Celsius towards 0 degrees Celsius. The expansion starts happening. So the water in this part starts expanding. Now if expansion of water happens, density reduces, right? So density reduction starts happening. So this part of the water becomes less dense. Any less dense object will go up in the water. So these water molecules start going up and the top water will start coming down, and there will be another water cycle until the temperature of here and here it becomes 0 degrees Celsius. So the two thermometers were put by Mr. Hope. This part finally was measuring 4 degrees Celsius and this part was measuring 0 degrees Celsius, and this part of the water will get frozen in the form of ice. That is exactly what happens when we analyze the consequences of anomalous behavior of water. For example, tank or ocean freezes from the surface. This activity happens. Till 4 degrees Celsius, the water molecules go down until the temperature becomes 4 degrees Celsius, the lower part of the water. From 4 to 0 degrees Celsius, the water molecules go up and then the freezing happens at the top. Now, another consequence of that is preservation of aquatic life. God has made it this way that this lower part is at 4 degrees Celsius, water, and the aquatic life can survive. And the freezing is happening at the top. And understand that ice is a bad behavior, bad conductor of heat. So even this lower temperature doesn't passes and come here. So at this level is 4 degrees Celsius, the aquatic life is surviving. Water pipes burst in winter. What happens? In winter, the temperature goes lower than 4 degrees Celsius. So when it goes lower than 4 degrees Celsius, expansion of water happens, right? When expansion happens, then pipe gets broken. Similar things happen in the frostbite, in low temperature areas, right? It happens in the body tissues, right? Body tissues are also having water in its cells. So when the water expands, it breaks the cell boundary and the cells die. That is frostbite. All these effects are consequences of anomalous behavior of water. So I'm hoping that with this explanation, you are able to understand what is anomalous behavior of water, how it plays out in terms of the volume and density graph, what about the Hope's experiment, and what is the consequences of anomalous behavior of water. Thank you very much.